Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the man who always starts our week off right, Mr. Greg Dickerson. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Michael. Good to see you.
Nice. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my Monday all these years. I got to ask you a question, right? You have brought to this channel, hey, good times never last, bad times never last, all of that. We're entering a bad time. Let's just say you walked up to someone or someone got your consulting time or whatnot, and they said to you, hey, I'm broke. I just lost my job. You know, what now, right? They came very desperate, probably stressed, confused, down. What how would you handle that conversation if someone came up to you and that was kind of the situation they found themselves in?
I would dig into what it is they do, what their profession is, what their skills are, things like that. This is still a pretty hot jobs market right now. There's still twice as many jobs as there are people willing to take them. So even with the big jobs number last week, when you net it all out, I don't think that many jobs were actually created. When you take how many people continued unemployment claims, how many left the workforce, things like that, and you look at where the jobs were created, it was mostly in the services industry and government. So that's the first thing I do is I just find out what they're doing, what their profession is, what their skills are, and try to help them understand they still have a lot of leverage out there in the job market right this minute. Let's say it was recessionary times and there were no jobs available, then I would say this is the best time to do like a side gig, side job, that kind of thing. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do online and offline to make money right now. And even in a recession, there still will be. I mean, there's still going to be people that are willing to pay for things and need to pay for things that they either can't do themselves or don't want to do. Even in a recession, there's still going to be a lot of people that have a lot of discretionary income, a lot of money that will still pay for things online and offline. Digital services, we've talked about it before, even something as simple as making thumbnails, posting videos for people, managing social media, managing their ads, doing blog posts, copywriting, website, graphic design. I mean, there's just so many things you can do online to make some money these days. And then offline, anything from walking dogs to pet sitting to lawn care, landscaping, services. I mean, the trades industries are still very stressed right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best things that somebody could do right now is get into a trade and create their own business. You can make 100, 200,000, $300,000 a year as a trades contractor out there right now. So those are the types of things I would dig into with somebody and talk to them about.
Yeah, this is why I love these conversations, because you answer the question as an entrepreneur, right? It really goes back to my aha moment from 3 years ago. You read Rich Dad Poor Dad and you want to be Rich Dad. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and I want to be Robert and Kim. I still chuckle thinking about that aha moment we had, which is awesome. So definitely entrepreneur, right? Go back to your very first video on this channel, Truck in a Toolbox. Your story's in my second book. It is that inspirational. When I think about that question, I kind of default to the W-2 mindset, right or wrong. It's my mindset, right? So you're right. I think first is, hey, jobs are plentiful. Tap your LinkedIn network references. Getting a job probably in today's environment's relatively easy, given the jobs picture. But let's assume it's the .com crash and all the engineers are laid off and computer scientists. And I think you're right. I think it is about tackling what the market has. Sometimes you can't fight the market, right? And I do think, I actually think we might be heading into a white collar recession, and blue collar will remain pretty strong, just given the discrepancies. So I think a trade is the right answer for a lot of people, as is a side hustle or some kind of entrepreneurial gig. The other things I would tell someone is to, hey, first thing I would do is look at what you have, right? What if any emergency fund? Do you have a 401k? Do you have a kind of savings? Do you have expenses that you could get rid of, right? Did you buy a third car and you only need one? Did you do right? One thing would be about getting smaller so you could survive. Call it months of life. One of my brokers talks about it. But yeah, I think it would be, there's a lot of opportunity. Great businesses are created. Great wealth is created in a recession. I'm sorry it happened to you. Let's shake it off. And let's get excited for what the future is. I think some people, have a layoff and they just feel lost. Sometimes those are the greatest things that can happen because it allows you to go a different direction. Maybe you were comfortable and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, when I've had to let people go sometimes in the past, I've told them, and I said, it might sound silly right now, but this could be the best thing that ever happened to you. And I would help them get into the mindset of, look at what doors of opportunity will open, not what's closing. Think about when you're facing a decision like, so the financial thing is a separate set when somebody's unemployed, whatever, digging into their finances and all that, like you're talking about. Yeah, obviously, if you're really hurting, you start selling stuff, get rid of stuff. I mean, you generate cash however you can, go out and sell something. If you're like broke and you don't know
Right.
what to do, there's usually something you can sell to generate cash quickly or cut an expense to help, weather that storm. But in general, you want to ask yourself, if you need something, a job, opportunity, whatever it is, think, how can I not, I can't. I
Yes.
can't find a job. Well, how can I find a job? I can't make any money in this economy. How can I make some money? I can't afford that house. How can I afford it? What do you have to do? Who do you have to become? What skills do you need to develop to make it happen? And look at where the money and the opportunities are. Where are the problems that need to be solved? That's where the opportunities are. And there's a lot of things. I mean, sales, doing all kinds of different sales. When I say sales, people think, pressure and sleazy and all that. I mean, sales is one of the highest paying careers out there. Salespeople are extremely well paid, and there's a lot of different ways to get into that. The key is go sell something of value, high ticket, because that's where you're going to make the most money, and develop those skills. Everybody's in sales. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things you can do, a lot of different ways to skin the cat. But number one, how can I? Number two, who do I need to become? Number three, what skills do I need in order to achieve whatever it is I need to do? So those are the three big things that I help everybody kind of think about when they're in transition like that.
Yeah, I want to poke at that how can I mindset, because again, I think heading into a recession or a bear market, scary times, it's easy to feed yourself with negativity. Thus you go to I can't, or whatever. Let's poke at that again. How do you help someone see that how can I? I mean, maybe give an example or something maybe from your past, because I know you have lots of them, but let's give somebody else an example, because I think that's so powerful.
Yeah. So how can I? Let's say you want a house, okay, and you want to live in $1 million house. So how can I make that happen? Well, you have to start with, what is that going to cost? Not just the mortgage payment, but the utilities, taxes, insurance, maintenance, all of the things you need to operate that house. That's going to be a monthly figure. Right now, that figure went up. So if you want that type of thing, then you need to say, okay, that's going to cost $5,000-$6,000 a month, all in with everything, for $1 million house after you put your down payment down. What is it that you need? Do you need the down payment, or do you need the ability to service that mortgage? So it's going to be a monetary number. Then you need to think about, okay, if it's $6,000 a month and I've got the down payment and I only net $5,000 a month, how can I make up that difference? And then you start looking at, what can I do that's going to bring in an extra $1,000 a month or more? If you need the down payment and say it's $200,000 and you're only able to put away $1,000 a month, or $5,000 a year or whatever, then you need to think about, okay, well, I know that at this rate, it's going to take 6 or 7, 10 years to put that down payment together. How can I earn an extra 10,000 a year, an extra 20,000 a year, an extra 100,000 a year? How can I do that? Can I get extra income at my job? If my job limits me, then what else can I do? Those other things that I mentioned on the side that you don't even need to leave your house to do. You can just log into your computer and make that extra money. So you want to reverse engineer it into the goal. And that's where most people miss. Most people aren't willing to do what they need to do to get what it is that they want. They're not willing to sacrifice. They'd rather just, not everybody, but a lot of people would rather just go home at the end of the day, sit on the couch, turn on the TV, and just sit there and do nothing for 6 or 8 hours until they have to go back to work again. When if you look at, how can I want something, how can I get it? What can I do in that 8 hours that's going to bring in, or 4 of that 8 hours, or 2 of that 8 hours? So you look at the available time you have, the resources you have, what it is you can do, and you get out there and you just add, 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours or 8 hours, whatever it is you want to do extra a day to generate the revenue that you need to reach that goal. So you want to quantify it, reverse engineer it, and then do it.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest how can I stories actually comes from Anna Kelly, my Wednesday expert, Anna REI mom Kelly. And she talked about her want was she wanted to stay home with their babies, right? She was working a demanding finance job. Her husband was opening a chiropractic facility. So they had 2 kids at the time living in a big house in Texas, Houston, I think. So what they did is they sold the big house in Texas. This was years ago, decades ago, moved in with family in Pennsylvania for a little while, which I'm sure wasn't fun. And then ultimately She bought a fourplex. She house hacked a fourplex with 2 kids in Pennsylvania. She took an upstairs unit, walking in the snow. But again, what did that do? That allowed her to live for free. It frankly was the best financial decision she's ever done. It allowed her to survive the '08 crash. Um, so again, sometimes folks, so it feels like you have to go backwards, right? I'm sure selling a big luxurious house in Texas and moving into a 2-bedroom, 1-bath fourplex wasn't fun, but she had a bigger why. How can I? Right? She eventually wanted to stay home. She has, I think, 4 kids by the end, and now she's home with her kids. Sometimes your friends and family may not understand, but who cares? Do it anyway. Stop being soft. Make the choices, do the work, and move forward. What do you think?
Absolutely. And for me, I'm just a doer. So I've never really, like, when you ask me that question, it's kind of tough because I just do.
Yeah.
So if when I was building my companies, building my house, my first house, and just doing all the things that I wanted, I didn't even think about how can I just had businesses, and I would go do deals, and I just do. So to me, it's just not even a question. I just do.
No, it's awesome.
And that's really the key is you just got to do, like Nike says, just do it.
Yeah.
And that's really where a lot of people, they just won't get up and go do it because they'll think, well, I can't do it, or I don't have time.
Yeah.
Or
they just,
whatever it is, those limiting beliefs, that anything that stops you from doing something, taking action, is limited beliefs. And the key to solving darn near any problem is taking action, just getting up, getting out there, staying out there, keeping moving forward, keeping the momentum, taking the right action. Obviously, just getting up and going out and doing nothing isn't going to accomplish anything. You want to take the right action towards the goals, and you have to ask for what you want. That's the other thing that a lot of people forget about, is you don't get what you don't ask for. So you have to make the ask. You have to go out into the world and ask for what it is that you're looking for. Boom, boom, boom. My name's Greg. I live down the street. I need to make some money. I'll cut your grass. I'll wash your car. I'll walk your dog. What do you need?
Yeah.
I'll do anything. That's how I started. And literally, I do the same thing in business. I go knock on doors when I'm building my building company. Hey, my name is Greg. I remember when I first got my general contractor's license as a builder. I started as a remodeling contractor, didn't need a license at the time, but to build bigger things, you had to get a GC license. So as soon as I got it, the first thing I did, I called every developer in my market, said, hey, my name is Greg. I just got my North Carolina unlimited general contractor's license. I can build anything. I'm willing to do whatever. I want some work. I want some job. I'm trying to build my portfolio. I'll do it for free. Just give me a chance. I mean, that's what I did. And I had a couple of them, that hired me, took me under their wing and taught me the business. And I didn't make as much money as I could have. I didn't make as much money as I should have, but I learned.
There you go.
And I mean, that's how I started, literally knocking on doors. And anytime I start another business, that's what I do. I knock on doors and tell people, hey, did you know I just created this company over here to solve this problem, whatever it was, and that's what you got to do. And a lot of people are afraid to do that. They're just afraid to tell people what it is they need, what they're doing, and promote themselves. And man, you got to promote yourself. You got to be out there, and you got to let people know who you are.
Yeah. The last thing I will take on, again, this is a lesson you've given me, and I just appreciate it so much. When you say, or you think I'm broke, you may have no money in your account, but I'm broke is really a mindset, and you would never let yourself think that. Right. And I appreciate that so much. And I think others need to realize that, okay, you just got laid off, or, you've got $7 in the account. That's a moment in time. Own it, move forward, do the work, take action, and just have the right mindset. And I think, Greg, you exude that.
And to that point, so I've never thought that I'm broke, I'm this and what, but I have run out of money. And,
exactly.
Especially early on. And I've had those situations. And what did I do? Well, I just went out and knocked on more doors. So if funds, if business was tight, I made a mistake, something was happening, cash flow was tight in my companies or whatever, I would take action, and I would take more action. So I would just go out and, whatever you've done that's made you money, and if you're running thin or tight, go do more of that thing, because there's always an opportunity. And if and you need to pivot. So when the 2009 recession happened and I was put out of business, like every other builder in my area, I had to pivot. I had to go do something else. I didn't give up and say, I'm broke, there's a recession, I lost my job. I mean, imagine being a surgeon and all of a sudden your hands are just worthless. I've got arthritis. I don't know if people watching can see my fingers, but all of a sudden you can't operate anymore. So what do? So you have to pivot. You have to create a new business. Well, you can go teach people, you can go, consult, you can just get into a different line of work. You don't have to always use your hands. If you're in the medical profession, there's other things you can do. I was a builder, so I just shifted my business and did other things. And I had, other companies and stuff like that. But that's really the key. It's being resourceful. It's not giving up. It's never, like you said, having the mindset, well, I'm broke, there's nothing I can do about it. No, you get out and you take more action and you work harder and you do what you've got to do smartly. Working hard in and of itself isn't always the solution, but you got to be willing to do whatever it takes and just, not be defeated and just get out there and make it happen. And, it's really funny. One of the, billionaire mentors, of my time, the founder of Otterbox, was telling me a story one time early on. He said, yeah, man, he said, I almost went bankrupt one time. He said, I can remember clear as day. I was having trouble. I was a couple $1 million in debt. My company, he said, I got on my hands and knees in my garage and started praying to God. He said, I was, all but, I was bankrupt. I just didn't file the paperwork. And he's kind of giggling, thinking about it, laughing about it because he's a billionaire right now. And I'm like, yeah, it wasn't funny back then, was it? He's like, no,
no. Yeah. Yeah. So folks, again, if you haven't read this book, 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires, Greg's discussion about trucking a toolbox is in here. This kind of inspiration is a part of it. There's a link below to the Amazon purchase if you want to get it. Greg, how can people find you?
Yeah, gregdickerson.com. That's where my info is. YouTube channel, podcast links. It's all there. Go check it out.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.